Shalom. This is Shalomah from the Great Millstone, Atlanta Camp. Before I get started with this lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to my elders and apostles, a great millstone that teach and rule well. Peace, love, and safety to the hopeful elect. And the title of this lesson is Man Was Created to Live Forever, or in other words, be immortal. So the Lord created man in his image, basically to be gods, to have power over the earth and to not die. Okay. So now, of course, sin was introduced into the world, which when you read Genesis 3, it talks about the fruit of the tree. The Lord said which trees to eat from, but he said it was one particular tree to not eat from. Okay, so those trees were actual men, and their fruit is sin, or ways that we don't supposed to live by. So it was pretty much sin, So basically, the woman Eve went into the garden and she started learning from Satan. She was taught evil from Satan, and started learning from those other trees in the garden, which were are men of because the Lord created three different men. He created the sons of God, which through the line of Adam and Seth, and then he created the sons of men, or children of men, which are the other nations, the Chinese, the Arabs, the East Indians, and the so-called white men, who are the Edomites. They were created to be the sons of the wicked. So you had Eve basically learning from these other nations. A lot of people get hung up on, the story of Adam and Eve. They saying that they was, naked and they received knowledge from a snake, or some people say that Eve, had sex with the snake, and it was a sin, and that from there on man was cursed. That's not the case. So that's not the case. So let's go, without further ado, let's go into the scriptures. First, let's start with the main account in Genesis. You know what? Let's go back to Genesis 2. And the Lord basically said to not eat of that tree. Okay, it says Genesis 2:15, and the Lord Yahweh power took the man and put him in the garden of Eden to dress it, to keep it. And the Lord Yahweh commanded man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. So he said, in the day that thou eatest, not saying that they was going to die that same day, because, if you look at it, man is one day of man is different from a day of the Lord. It's like 1,000 years, and men live short of 1,000 years. Adam lived to be 930 years old. And then you had Seth. He was a little over 900 years old when he passed. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and get those accounts as well. Genesis chapter 5 in verse 3, it says, and Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness, after his image, and called his name Seth. Uh, that's not what I wanted. Here it is, verse 5. And the days of Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived and Seth lived 105 years and begot Enos. Let me see, verse 8, and all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. So this is showing you all the how many years men were living in that time. Now, men were also a lot taller back then. Let's go to 2nd Ezra, chapter 5. Second Ezra chapter 5 and verse 52 says, say unto her, wherefore are unto they whom thou now brought forth like those that were before, but less of stature. I'm gonna read that again. It says, say unto her, wherefore are unto they whom thou hast now brought forth like those that were before, but less of stature. All right. And verse 54 says, consider thou therefore also how that ye are less stature than those that were before you. And so are they that come after you less than ye, as the creatures which now begin to be old, they have passed over the strength of youth. So people were taller, and then this is Ezra or Esdras. Of course, he would be taller than the people that you see walking the earth today. But even before then, when men were living a lot longer, they were bigger. So the Lord is going to restore all of that. He's going to restore everlasting life, immortality, and also the stature in his people. Let's go to Psalms 82 and 6. It says, I have said ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High, but ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. So yeah, the Lord created man to be immortal, taller, stronger, to be gods. But he said, you shall die like men. Why? Because sin came into the world. So let's go back to Genesis chapter 3. And we're just going to read down. It says, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, the Most High has said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. So he was saying, look, if you eat, you're not going to die. But, of course, he's the devil. He's Satan. But the thing is, you're going to die after you live a certain amount of years, which the Lord kept putting limits on the lifespan of man. It says, for the Most High doeth know that in the days ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So back then, when man first put the breath of life in Adam, or put the breath of life in men, you had certain men that were created to be evil. Scriptures say, Lord created all things for himself, even the wicked for the day of evil. So you had men created to be evil, and then you had men created to be righteous, because it has to be equal balance. Scriptures say a false balance is an abomination to the Lord. So you got to have a balance. And the Lord had a balance in his creations. He had good and evil. So you had now the righteous learning evil. So what did the Lord do? He cursed man. But man also their life started to be shortened. You know, you're going to see men that live just a little over 100 years. And now, these days, most men live to be about 70, 80 years old. You see some people live to be, 100. I think the longest recorded human life was like 122. But but throughout the scriptures, you'll see how men lived a lot longer. Okay. So now that fruit, like I said, was to know good and evil, because the Lord created Adam to know Eve, not to know Eve, to know good, to be righteous. But she was deceived by the serpent, and she taught Adam also. And what did Adam do? The Lord confronted him about it. And he was like, "Well, you gave me this woman. You know, she the one taught me this stuff." As a matter of fact, what does it say that? Verse 17. And unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree of which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it, curses the ground for thy sake, and sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. And let me see. Eve. Like us before. Oh, here it is, verse 12. It says, and the man said, the woman whom thou gavest to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat. So Adam put the blame on the woman, you know. So after that, the Lord was like, well, you cursed because of that. Now, let's go back to, well, that was pretty much it. I did want to get one more scripture in Wisdom of Solomon that kind of explains the whole thing. Wisdom of Solomon chapter 2 and verse 22. Verse 23, it says, for the Most High created man to be immortal, and made him to be an image of his own and eternity. Nevertheless, through envy of the devil came death into the world. And they that do it, and they that do hold of his side find it. So yeah, man was created to be immortal, and man did die. The Lord said, you're gonna die if you eat of this fruit. And what happened? Man lived to be a certain amount of time and then lost his life. All right. But in the original creation, man was created to be immortal. And through sin, it's death. All right. So that was pretty much it. I pray this lesson was edifying. Once again, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rahakwadash. Double honors to my elders and apostles, a great millstone that taught us his truth. Shalom to the elect.